Tonight's Hazleton mayoral debate is brought to you without commercial interruption by the following sponsors. Cloud9 Personal Training and Fitness for Rittenhouse Place in Drums. And by Booty's Place Restaurant, reopening in the summer of 2015. Live from the WYLN studios in Hazleton, WYLN News presents a debate of the Hazleton City Democratic mayoral candidates for the 2015 primary election. Now, here's your moderator for today's debate, Tiffany Cloud.
Welcome to the WYLN Hazleton mayoral debate. Tonight, the Democrats will face off. It'll be concerned citizen Grace Kuzo against Hazleton City Councilman Jack Mundy. A special thank to the sponsors for tonight's debate, Cloud9 Personal Training and Fitness in Drums, expanding their gym in time for summer, and Booty's Place reopening this summer. Before I discuss the format for this evening's debate, I just want to give everybody out in the audience a reminder. It is because of the veteran that we have the ability to live in a free country, that we have the ability to vote, that we have the ability to do things like have a debate. So please support our veterans. Tomorrow night we will be doing a special here on WYLN to honor our area Vietnam veterans. It will air at 8 o'clock. And this evening at 9 o'clock, a new season of Warrior Summit Outdoors will premiere. It's a great outdoor show hosted by my husband, and it's all about helping veterans heal the wounds of war after combat. Okay, so here's how this evening will start. There will be 2-minute opening statements by each candidate. Then questions will be asked by WYLN's lead reporter Gary Perna, as well as editor of the LULAC political letter, Mr. David Yonkai. Our format is very simple. As they ask the questions, the candidate being asked the questions will have 2 minutes to respond, and then there will be a 1-minute rebuttal. Closing statements will be 1 minute in length. Please be advised I am not aware of what questions will be asked this evening. The candidates have not been provided the questions in advance either. After this evening's debate, there will be a post-debate analysis show. Myself, Gary Perna, Dave Yonkai. So stick around for that. That'll be at 8 o'clock. Okay, so without further ado, the first opening statement of 2 minutes is going to go to Grace Kuzo.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Channel 35, Tiffany, Gary, and David for giving me the time to present my solutions and how I will be implementing them in the next 4 years. I would like to preface my statements to the public and to you. Please understand, I'm a very passionate woman, and at times my passion is sometimes viewed as aggression. It isn't. It is merely my concern for the quality of life and your pocketbooks. I have served on the Hazleton Housing Authority for 5 years. I am serving on the Greater Hazleton Joint Sewer Authority. I have attended Hazleton City Council meetings for almost 28 years. I am well aware of all the problems facing Hazleton. I have more experience than any other candidates. I have watched the present mayor as well as former mayors along with councils place the city in such debt that has caused many longtime residents to move out of town, and we have lost many of our local businesses due to the higher taxes they have been forced to be paid. Crime has gotten out of control. I have been a firm supporter, of hiring part-time police. We need the extra manpower. Please understand, all hires will still be hired through the Civil Service Commission. They will not be bypassing that in any manner, as Mayor Yannuzzi has led everyone to believe. Over this next hour, I will fully explain to you and the public why Hazleton is in such financial difficulties, starting with our present $32 million liabilities for unfunded pensions. We have gotten to the point because of ignorance on behalf of elected officials. I will bring solutions to the table and keep these costs down. I am asking the Republicans as well to take the time now in the primary and write me in.
Thank you very much. Your opening statement, Councilman Mundy.
Thank you. Thank you for this time. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve the residents of Hazleton over the last 25 years. I'm now in my 4th term on council, 13 years of being on council. I'm currently serving as the president of the council. I also served 9 years on the HCA, the Water Authority, and I am proud to be from Hazleton. Can Hazleton be fixed? Absolutely. I'm about helping people. I do it every day and want that feeling and attitude to be contagious in Hazleton. If elected mayor, the one promise that I make is that I will work with and not against City Council. I will attend all meetings. We won't always agree, but we can listen to each other and move towards a common ground, which is the betterment of Hazleton City. What's missing in government, I think, is common sense. We need to run the city using common sense and applying simple rules of business. Raising taxes is not the only answer. In speaking to the people of Hazleton, I have learned what their concerns are: our streets, our taxes, our fees, crimes, and our rundown buildings and absentee landlords, to name a few. We need to bring back the pride in Hazleton. We need to improve the quality of life. We need to attack crime. We need to attack blight. We have to take a look at all the departments and how they are run. Ensure that department heads are working within their budgets and see where improvements are needed. We need to add police, and I do believe that part-time officers can work to fill our needs in the city and help the police department. Will getting Hazleton in shape be easy? No. But there are tough decisions to be made, and we need experienced people in government to make those tough decisions. Thank you for support on May 19th, Election Day.
Thank you. Okay, the questions are going to begin. The first question will be asked by Dave Yonkai of the LULAC Political Letter, and it will go to Ms. Kuzo.
Ms. Kuzo, this afternoon in Baltimore, there was a baseball game played with the Chicago White Sox. The Baltimore Orioles won 8-2, and just in case people are keeping score. But they played before no one in the stands, and the reason for that was because of the riots in Baltimore on Monday night. And Monday night riots ensued in Baltimore. The criminals attacked the police. Suppose the riot happened in Hazleton. Suppose imported gangs from outside of our area come in and attack the police. In our city, your city, with so many few police, is Hazleton equipped right now to handle an eventuality like that?
Of a riot of that scale? Oh, no, no, no. And I don't even know why anyone would think that. But we also do not have the crime that would bring that about. I really think you're looking at apples and oranges on this one. We are not a city of that size, nor do we have the diversity that is in that city. I really do not think you're looking at anything here that you can even compare the two with.
Okay, Councilman Mundy, I'll give you a minute to respond.
I think that's terrible what's happening in Baltimore. It's frustration out of people who feel that the police aren't being fair to them. Do I believe that Hazleton, that we can handle something like that? Yes, we did, and we almost had a riot back. Was a year or two ago when we had the shooting. There was talk of gangs coming into Hazleton and possibly going after the policemen who were involved in a shooting. I think our police force handled it terrifically. They brought in some help from the state police, complemented with their people, and I do believe our police force could have handled it, and it was a situation like a riot. The state police they were at Harmon Guy Stadium, and they saturated the whole area with their people, and I think we averted any trouble. I wish the mayor would have come to the meeting that week. I was hoping he would come.
Thank you both. The next question is going to be asked by Dave Yonkai, and it's going to go to Councilman Mundy.
Councilman Mundy, what more can the city do to implement stronger code enforcement penalties for those in violation?
Well, when I was on council, we passed the first ordinance requiring landlords to name a manager, to have someone to go to in this area when they had a problem. We passed that. That helped somewhat to alleviate a problem with absentee landowners not taking care of their properties. We did pass the ordinances to beef up the code department. We recently hired three new code officers. They're going out and from what I'm hearing from everyone, because being up the mall, I've had people come in complaining about some of the tickets that they're getting for cars on their property, for weeds, for garbage. So I think the code is starting to do their job. They just recently hired 3 people. Hopefully we'll hire 1 or 2 more, and we think they're doing a great job, and they're going to continue to do that.
Thank you very much. Ms. Cuso, you have a minute to respond.
Well, I think the code does a decent job. I think the ordinances themselves need to be reviewed. We need to make them a little more intense. When you're given a ticket for a car that's sitting there and all they do is repeatedly come back and give a ticket every other day, and when they go to the magistrate or there's nothing really done. Oftentimes that car ends up still being there, and that is the saddest part. Or not the car, garbage. It took me that I had to go myself and literally file the case myself and cite every ordinance and state law that was being violated. I had to do that. I had to take the people next door to me to the magistrate myself. If I have to do that, I guarantee they are not doing enough, and we need to change the avenues in which we are doing it. And the police are enforcement agents of the codes, and that is something that can be done.
Thank you very much. The next question is going to be asked by Gary Perna, and it will go to Ms. Cuso.
Ms. Cuso, it is no secret that Hazleton has a big budget problem. Whether we're facing a deficit at the end of the year, depending on which budget the city is following. What are your plans to get the city out of the deficit and into a surplus for more than 1 year at a time?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know if we're going to see a surplus the first year or two, and I'm not going to lie to anyone. My plans, we're going to have to restructure the city government. There are positions in the administration that are overpaid and not needed. And if we look at some of those and we do that at this point, we can free up money, at least free up the funds for the part-time police. And I actually feel I can do this just with doing restructuring. As far as getting anything surplus, we have to stick to a budget. When council approves that budget and it's $9 million, that's what you spend, not the extra money that's taken from here or there, and that has been done over the years. It was taken from our stormwater, it was taken from our sewer transmission fee, and no one has accounted for that money. $300,000 of the stormwater fee money was spent, and no one has accounted for it. Same thing with the sewer transmission. Actually, that is over millions that was spent over the years. The sewer transmission fee was actually in excess of what it should have been based on the amount of the debt that was due, and no one challenged it. And it just they kept using that money as a cooch, I guess is the best word to say, and that is wrong. We have to live in with what we have. Hazleton is not a rich community. I'm sorry. I'd love to say we are, but we're not. $9 million is what we pull in. Our property values are falling, and it's making it harder for us to even balance the budget as it is. We spend $4 million of that budget goes for our police department. $4 million. 1.7, I believe, just for the fire. I mean, we're really just on those essential elements, that money's going.
Thank you very much. You have 1 minute to respond, Councilman Mundy.
Yeah, restructuring, I don't know where you could save there. I know I know the mayor restructured a few years ago some of the departments and the police. I don't know how much that's going to save money, but the one thing that you said, Grace, about the stormwater fee, I was totally against that. We eliminated it in our budget, and and we eliminated the mayor's tax increase. Now, as far as bringing revenue in the city, I think the people can't afford any more new taxes. While I was on council, the mayor, current mayor now, and the previous mayor wanted to sell the water authority. Well, I didn't think that was a good idea because I think the water rates would go through the roof. What we did was we came up with a master services agreement. It's brought in to the tune of, I think, $4.2 million up to now. It's going to bring in another $4 million. It's going to bring in $8 million into the city that we did not have previous.
Thank you. The next question will be asked by Gary Perna, and it goes to Councilman Mundy.
Councilman, it is no secret, and I'm going to use that term again, that Hazleton, like many other communities, are facing a big pension problem. The question is, with the rising costs in pension and health care, what are your plans to control the amount of money the city puts into those and make the employees responsible for paying?
Well, when the mayor was negotiating the police contract, which he agreed to a 7-year contract, I told him that we should have a professional negotiator to work for us, to work on our side. What he did was he ignored me. I asked him, I said, what's the average health care payment for police in Pennsylvania? He said, I don't know. I said, well, why are you negotiating a contract? He negotiated that contract. It was a 7-year contract. I didn't vote for it. You know, I think we could have maybe negotiated a better deal, maybe higher co-payments for some of the police, maybe more in line with the averages for the Commonwealth. But the pensions are a big problem all over the country. I mean, the governor's talking about doing it. Corbett didn't do anything. You know, they have to do something that they could start, you know, at that level. What I would say is we have to maybe move the new hirees, not the people that are there, but any new hirees coming in, we have to move towards a 401k. I have friends in the private industry. 15, 20 years ago, a major company, Goodyear, came in and said to a friend of mine, you have no pension. We're out of the pension business. It's caused a lot of problems with companies all over the United States. GM went bankrupt. One of the reasons was because of their pension plan. So it is a major problem. You know, we have to look at maybe some higher co-pays for some of the people, more in line with maybe averages, and the pension problem, we have to move some of the new people coming in, not the people that are there. We have to move towards a 401k.
Okay, Ms. Kuzo, you have a minute to respond.
My rebut. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I do agree totally with Jackie. We have to go to a 401k. I love you, Jackie. You know that. The 401k, the city cannot. We spend. You have budgeted $4,900,000 for our pension for this year. That comes in through our EIT and the other various taxes that are designated for that. We can't afford it. The people in town, the people working, when that money's taken out of their pay, it hurts everybody, and it has to come to a stop. And yes, the new hires have got to go into a 401k. And right now, the police contract is up, and that's where you have to direct Joe now, before this contract is, or fiber, I'm sorry, is being done right now. We have got to do something. Another problem is you also have an age problem. State law allows you to put a minimum age of 50.
I'm sorry, Grace. I'm sorry. The next question is going to be asked by Dave Yonkai, and it goes to Ms. Kuzo.
Ms. Kuzo, Mr. Cassette, Mr. Mundy, and Mr. Yannuzzi are all involved in Hazleton City government for a number of years. What can you bring in terms of your experience as a quote-unquote governmental outsider to the city of Hazleton?
Well, that's really not fair. I've spent more time in council than every one of them. And to call me an outsider is totally wrong. I have been there. I helped Jackie with the budget. Please don't think I'm an outsider. I mean, I'm not.
Well, what I meant by outsider.
I am not. Yeah. I have been there. I have served on the Housing Authority. I'm now on the Greater Hazleton Joint Sewer Authority. I recently just stopped a purchase of a $1.3 million building there for a 2-stall garage they wanted. I am there to make sure that things are done properly. You have a budget, you live within that. Do you need those things? No, then we don't buy them. We look at what is needed, and we need to address those issues, and they are the biggest issues that need to be addressed now. As far as being an outsider, I know Jackie since '93 when he was on the water. I've been there. I've been in council since '86. I'm sorry, I don't consider myself an outsider. I know probably more than any of them do.
Okay, and we're going to go to Councilman Mundy. You have 1 minute to respond.
I agree with some of the things you said, but not all of them, Grace. There's no substitute for experience. I mean, yeah, coming to meetings and making comments and looking at documents, and you have looked at the budgets, and you've given your input, and you've had some good ideas. But experience, you know, I was on the Water Authority for 9 years. During that time, we put $40 million in improvements, a $20 million filtration plant, a 12-mile pipeline to the Lehigh River. On council, we're voting on a $9 million budget. You know, I think there is no substitute for experience, and the city's next mayor is going to need all of that experience to face the challenges that he will face in the next 4 years.
Thank you very much. The next question will be asked by Dave Yonkai, and it goes to Councilman Mundy.
Councilman Mundy, our city has many, oh, wait a minute, this is the one I have to. Would you take a pay cut or take a salary cut, take the salary as it is if you were elected mayor?
I think that is a great idea, and I plan to do that when I take office. I mean, when we were on council, when I was on, during my stint on council, we wanted some of the higher incomes to take pay cuts. The mayor didn't agree with us, and I mean the people making maybe beyond 40 and 50,000. I don't think we went below that, or they were smaller amounts. I'm not in this for the pay. The money I get from my council pay, I've never cast a check. I've given it to my mother. So I'm not in this to make money. You know, I believe in Hazleton. I care about this city. I think we could bring the city back again. I know that, you know, the salary might seem like a lot, but when you're doing the hours, you know, even on council, we get $3,850. I think if you did that hourly, it would come to maybe $2 an hour when you put in the hours that we put in, going to meetings, going to seeing people, you know, at all times of the day. You know, my office in the mall, at the Laurel Mall, is open every day to people, and some people come in to see me, some people call me with their questions and problems, and I think that would be a good thing, and I will do that if I'm elected mayor.
Thank you very much. 1 minute to respond, Ms. Kuzo.
I would hope council would do it now, because by law they have to. They can put a resolution, an ordinance in now, reduce the salary of the mayor. I would suggest about $30,000. At that point, it gives us money to work with towards the police at this time, and I think that is the most important issue. And the only way you could do it is, Jackie, is if you donate it, okay?
Yeah.
All right, you'd have to donate it if council does not reduce the salary now. And that would be my suggestion, that council reduce the salary.
Okay, the next question will be asked by Gary Perna, and it goes to Ms. Kuzo.
Ms. Kuzo, there are a lot of rumors flying around Hazleton that Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton could be pulling out of the city and be moving somewhere else. If elected mayor, what is your plan, not only to fill the gap in the budget, that when they leave, that will go, but to fill the gap up on Broad Street if the hospital pulls out?
If the hospital pulls out, first of all, I will try to talk to them. That would be number one. I will be there, and I will try to talk to them. And hopefully try to keep them here in Hazleton. The next step is, you know what? We have other hospitals. We have other ones. They will be approached. Geisinger, I think they should be approached now with Hazleton St. Joe's. I mean, that building is sitting up there. I have a problem that there is nothing being done there. We need to move. That building, I just went by it earlier. It's totally being destroyed. There was millions put in that building 5 years ago by the Health Services Authority. That building, hopefully still can be saved. And I would like to see, whether it be council or Joe, I don't care who does it right now, somebody approach another hospital agency, such as Geisinger. Please, that building is falling apart, and don't let it happen now.
Councilman Mundy, you have a minute to respond.
We, as council, we met twice with President John Fletcher, and he hasn't given us any decisions on what they're doing. They've said they're in the exploratory stage. We plan to meet with him again. He sent an email. When I first heard about the hospital, which is back 2 years ago when I was in the minority, I said to Council President Jimmy, I said we should form a committee. This has to be stopped, or if there's anything we can do, whether it's finding them other land to build a hospital still within the city limits. One of the first things I also did was get from Berkheimer what it would cost us in EIT, and I think the numbers were around $50,000, which would be a major blow to the finances of the city. Not to mention the property tax. That's a whole nother avenue. But I think at all costs, I'd want to see that hospital stay there, and we're going to meet with President Fletcher in the next probably couple of weeks.
Thank you. The next question will be asked by Gary Perna, and it goes to Councilman Mundy.
Councilman, many residents have voiced concern over the Hazleton Airport and the amount of money the city has put into it. If elected, what are your plans for the airport, and would you consider selling it? Why or why not?
Well, I mean, the airport could be an asset to the city of Hazleton. I know back when John Quigley was mayor, there were talk about that, talk about expanding it. He had arguments with Mr. Wolfel, who sold his land to Walmart. But just recently, I talked to one of the pilots there, and they're talking about moving the state police out. Here's where common sense comes into play, which is, you know, I don't know where it is. It's missing. They're talking about moving the state police barracks there, the helicopter, moving it to Wilkes-Barre, where you pay more for gas. He said here the gas is $1 cheaper. There they cannot get off when they want to because it's a busy airport. They get more calls down here. It's more convenient. They'd have to build a $3 million hangar in the airport up there, which doesn't make sense when you have a hangar here that serves your needs. It just doesn't make sense to do that. And I'm going to talk to I guess John Udicek. He's going to be at the Chamber breakfast next week. I'm going to touch base with him and talk to him about it. But nobody could understand when there was an article in the paper about it, and the spokesman for the state police couldn't give the reasons why it made sense to do this. I mean, how could you not have a sheet where it said it's going to save us this much? The rent is cheaper here than I know at Avoca. They don't have to build a $3 million hangar. It's already set up. And why move it? I just don't understand it. I don't know if it's left over from Corbett or if Governor Wolf will address that or where is he at with that. But maybe I could get John Udicek and talk to him and sit down and hopefully keep that here, because that brings in revenue to the city. But I think the airport is an asset, and we just have to run it like a business.
Thank you. Ms. Kuzo, you have 1 minute to respond.
There was bid openings this morning for the airport for an expansion of the airport runway protection zone. I don't even know where the money's coming from to pay the percentage that the city needs to pay for that loan, or that project, excuse me. Yes, it can be, if it's run by a business, like a business, it can be a benefit to the city. But I haven't seen it been run like a business for the last 15 years. We have to get it together, and we have to start doing it. It has to be done now. It cannot be let go for next one or the next one or next year. It can't. They just cut down all the trees down there. Has anybody done anything with it? Has it been timbered in any manner? All the area has been totally devastated of the trees. There are things out there that no one is made aware of, including council, and that's sad. That is wrong. And we can utilize the airport.
Thank you. Okay, we are at the halfway point of our debate. The next question will go to Ms. Kuzo, and it will be asked by Dave Yonkai.
Well, first off, I want to make a clarification on the last question when I referred to you being an outsider. Perhaps the better wording should have been a non-elected at this time taxpayer advocate, all right? Just so that I just wanted to clear that up because...
Well, I serve on the
right.
redevelopment sewer authority.
Right, exactly, but I just wanted to make that clarification. All right. Basically, Ms. Cuso, you are a woman running for mayor of Hazleton, and do you think gender is going to be playing a part in this particular campaign? And how does it feel that if elected, you would be making history?
Well, I certainly hope it wouldn't matter if I was a woman right now. I really wouldn't. And making history, I never thought about it that way. All I'm looking, believe it or not, is I want things done for the benefit of you, of the majority of the people. Yeah, downtown's great. I mean, I understand that, but we have to look at every place. You have to look at the north side, the south side. We're not doing that. And people need assistance all the way around. And this is what's happening. Everyone else is being ignored except downtown. But what are we doing down there? Nothing. The state did the street and the sidewalks. I don't know what the city did. Explain to me, because I don't know. But I mean, we've got to look at what's going on around the city, because the city as a whole needs to be looked at, not one area.
Okay, Councilman Mundy, you will have 1 minute to respond.
I think women in government are, I've been working with them for years and years with Evelyn Graham. Now I'm working with Councilwoman Jean Mope. She's doing a terrific job as councilwoman. I think more women should be involved in politics at all levels, not just the local, national, state. There's one country in Africa where all the women, the heads of all the departments are all women. I don't know if the head of the country, who is a man, does not trust all the men, but they're all women. But I think the women that I've worked with on council have done a terrific job. Evelyn Graham was there, and Jeannie Mope is there currently now doing a terrific job, fighting with me to keep taxes down, fighting against the mayor's tax increases. I think we need more women in government.
Okay, the next question will be asked by Dave Yonkai, and it goes to Councilman Mundy.
Councilman Mundy, what is your position on paying members of the public to outsource and get grants to secure money for Hazleton?
We had someone come up, and a grant writer, who said that was absolutely a horrible idea, and he named some of his reasons that it's not a good idea because you're paying someone based on what their performance is, and he said that you can't do and you shouldn't do. I know it was brought up earlier, at a meeting. I do believe we should get all the grants we could get, and the grant writing, they've been doing a great job. We've gotten some grants in the last couple of years with LSA grants. We've got one. I think was the last one. We got 1.4 million. Part of that was to do the roof at the highway department. We have been getting grants. Could we get more grants? Absolutely. Is writing grants the hardest thing? I was with some people from the HCA earlier today, and they're doing their grants for the Stockton, for doing the Stockton project, where they're extending one of our lines out there. They did the Penvents grant, and he told me it wasn't rocket science. So, I think our people could do it. We just have to push them, and I don't think we have to bring in a professional grant writer. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Cuso, you have 1 minute to respond.
Well, number one, the city already has a professional grant writer through CD, so they already have one. So if there is something they're really looking for, they've got one there. Use it. I'm sorry, use it. As far as other grants, every department should be looking, and you can do this. It's not a hard job. You can find monies that are available for your specific department, whether it be streets, whether it be transit, through buses. There are monies available. It takes a little bit of looking. And you know what? The applications my granddaughter could fill out, they are not hard. they really aren't looking for a whole lot off of you. They want to know what your, how many you have in your city. You're talking countries there, you messed me up. And it's not really that bad. They're looking at your income, what the average mean income is, and these things are all available because we get them through when they do the censuses.
The next question will be asked by Gary Perna, and it goes to Ms. Kuzo.
Ms. Kuzo, in the past, residents have complained that the mayor has not been transparent. What are your thoughts on that, and how would you, if elected, open the lines of communication between City Hall and the residents of the city?
All right. Do I think the mayor's transparent? No, I don't. I think he's very, very inconsiderate and information for council, for the public. I've actually called his office, and he's made the statement, ooh, and he infuriated me with this. When he needed, it was information pertaining about the sewer authority of the city's EDUs and a company wanting to come in and utilize all of our EDUs. Well, he didn't call me back, but he called down there, and he actually made an offhanded remark that was totally uncalled for. And the mayor does not want to talk to you. You can call, you can do what you want to do. He does not want to talk to you, and that's wrong. Jackie, I know, is always available. I always talk to people, and that is what we need to be. We need to have them. Will I? Yes. I guarantee you, I will be at the meetings. I will be in the office. I will be available. If people have, I got a call from a lady from McAdoo. She's having problems with her sewer, and she just knew that I was on the sewer authority, but it was in Hazleton. But yes, I talk to people even now. And would I help? Yes. Would I guide them to where they need to go? Most definitely. Do I see this council? Yes. They are cooperative. They answer the questions, and they do their best to answer what people come up and ask them. That I do totally wholeheartedly tell you, they do. They do their best. The mayor, the administrator, they do not answer anyone, and that is wrong. And that man is even hired illegally. He's seeing information he shouldn't even see. But nobody says anything. It's time we stop this. This man was not hired properly, and he has access, remember this, to everybody's information, and that's illegal. And somebody's going to sue us.
Thank you. Councilman Money, you have 1 minute to respond.
I totally agree with you, Grace. But can the mayor be more transparent? Yes. I mean, over the past years, I've tried to get information from the mayor. A big problem, even with information, is the city manager not coming to meetings, and that's because the mayor told him not to come to meetings. I think on his own he would have come to the meetings if it wasn't for the mayor who told him not to attend. That impedes the flow of information between the city government, city council, and the administration. Not having the administrator at a council meeting, which I thought is ridiculous. I also thought that, previously, before this solicitor was there, we didn't have a solicitor at our meetings, and that left us all at risk. And I blame that all on the mayor and not allowing the solicitor or the city administrator come to our meetings.
Okay. The next question will be asked by Gary Perna, and it will go to Councilman Mundy.
Councilman, the city has a major, and I'm going to put an emphasis on major, pothole problem in the city. Many of the roads are plagued with them. Some of the streets in the city are even crumbling. If elected, what would you do to start correcting the problem, and where would the funding come from?
Well, when my father was the streets director, we didn't have a pothole problem. I mean, we had John Quigley, and that mayor got a lot of CD money. I think we have to look at that, using some of our CD money to pave some of our streets. That's one thing that we could look at. When recently on council, we when I was in the minority, we talked about a pothole machine, a recycling pothole machine. Everyone said that it wouldn't work, it wasn't good. Now that when I became president and decided we were going to get this, we went ahead and bought it, a recycling pothole machine, which, I called the guy, the head of the streets department from Kingston, He was very nice. He told me that this is the greatest machine. He wished he had 10 of them, and it would solve the pothole problem in Kingston. He said, one thing that this does, fills potholes so he doesn't get phone calls. He said it worked terrifically. He did it in the winter. What it does is recycles old tar that we dig up, and we have enough to last forever. There's a big pile of it, and we wouldn't run out of it. I mean, it takes a crew to work it, and you know, I think that the potholes are a big problem in the city, and you know, to repave some of our roads, we have to look to the CD and the CD money, because we have no extra money from the city to use for that. Thank you.
And Ms. Kuzo, you have 1 minute to respond.
Well, number one, we get almost 600,000 just from liquid fuels for the streets. I understand we have snow removal in there, so you have to take a little bit out of it. Plus there is what is the budget, 1.1 million for the streets department. So there is money included in there, and some of the work should come out of there. We have a great thing here now, the LSA grant. That is the local share grant from the gambling. Now, I reviewed the booklets, and you can take streets. Take Hayes, Arthur, Garfield, then Peace, and Laurel, okay? Those streets, you put them, you have that work done up the engineering, and then you submit the application for those streets, and you put it in as a streets project. And that's how you can get the streets done.
The next question will be asked by Dave Yonkai, and it will go to Ms. Kuzo.
Ms. Kuzo, earlier you basically said that there are some positions in City Hall that are overpaid and not needed. Could you give us like an example of like what might be?
Overpaid or not needed, which one would you like?
Both.
Okay. Most of the administrative are too high, okay, for the city, okay? I'm going to say that. That's my opinion, and that's how I feel. And positions not needed. We have the transit department. That before was run by someone part-time. This man's making, what, 50,000, 45? I forget what he's making.
Who?
Sharp.
I think between 45 and 50.
That job is a secretarial job, and I don't mean that any way demeaning, but it is not a job that we need a $45,000 or $50,000 administrative salary in there. It comes out of the funds from there, from the transportation, don't get me wrong. But that is part of restructuring, and that is how we cut things down. I mean, I didn't understand how the chief of police was getting overtime. Those are salaried positions. I don't understand that. I really, truly didn't. I don't understand this. When these things are going on, I have a problem. If I win, all new hirings will start at a lower salary to start with. And I guarantee there will be positions removed, because there are positions here that we are paying for that we don't need. And that isn't fair to everybody. We need to worry about getting the police here. We need to worry about getting these things taken care of. And the police right now are our #1 concern because of the unfortunate amount of crime we have today.
Councilman Mundy, you have 1 minute to respond.
I do agree that crime is a problem in Hazleton, and we need to focus our resources for that. As far as the transportation department, that comes from a grant. That money, or not grant, that comes from other monies. It doesn't come from the city budget. It's its own separate budget. So,
well, he asked me to give it.
Yeah, I don't know how much that could save the city, because it's its own separate department. You know, can some salaries be reduced? I don't know. You know, the mayor was on the show the other day saying that, you know, he's running a $17 million operation with 3 people, and I know they work hard down at City Hall. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, are some people overpaid? I mean, I haven't seen that, and could they reduce some of their salaries? I don't know. That's something that would have to be looked at.
Okay, the next question is going to be asked by Dave Yonkai, and it's going to Councilman Mundy.
Councilman Mundy, I think we all agree that the downtown is in good shape and it looks okay. What would you do to improve the neighborhoods surrounding the downtown?
Well, I think they're just as important as downtown Hazleton. You know, while on council, you know, we helped with the revitalization of downtown by approving grants for some of the buildings there. When I was on the water department, we helped save the Mayoral building. Some people wanted to tear it down. You know, the former mayor Quigley came to us and said, you know, if you don't step in, this building could be torn down. We stepped in, ended up saving the building, got it on the historic registry, and now that's going to be the cornerstone of downtown Hazleton. It was, we approved a KOZ for it 10 years ago. It's off the KOZ. It's 85% occupied. It's a success story that's going to help downtown Hazleton. Do the neighborhoods surrounding downtown need help too? Yes. We have to look to our CD department to free up some money to help those neighbors that are neighboring downtown Hazleton and see what we can do to help them. There's CD money available. We just have to find it. We also have to, you know, do that with some LSA grants. I think the downtown is on its way up with the revitalization, with the new buildings that are being remodeled down there, and it wouldn't be there if not for the Mayoral building, and that could have been torn down if we didn't step in 15 years ago and save that building.
Ms. Cuso, you have 1 minute to respond.
The question was the surrounding areas on downtown. All right, we have a redevelopment authority. They have gotten home grants and NSP grants before. And areas, homes and in that areas that need to be revitalized would qualify. And that is the way you would handle that, because they can be done that way. Then the downtown, yeah, the water did save it, but people don't realize the water ended up paying because the water authority gave a developer $250,000 who took off and didn't give it back and didn't do the work. Yeah, that was good, but it cost you and I in our water bills $250,000 extra money, and it cost us for the legal out of that. I have to say, I can only say so much on that part. But there are avenues to address the surrounding areas. And if you remember, Pine Street has been addressed through the Pine Street project, those older homes.
Thank you. Okay, the next question will be asked by Gary Perna, and it will go to Ms. Cuso.
Ms. Cuso, earlier you said about restructuring City Hall. Do you think the current administration gave too much power and too much duties to the current police chief with running the police department, the code department, the zoning department, and could that be corrected?
Yes, because if you go back when Lou Barletta made the position of the engineer, okay? At that time, do you remember? The engineer oversaw code and health. The police chief belongs with the police department. Now, don't get me wrong. The police chief, the police department also enforces and can enforce code and health. But his main job is with the police for other crimes. But, and no one's looking at these things, and I don't know why these things got away. Why is the police chief doing this? I don't get it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There are things he has to, and he's doing a good job. I'm not saying he's not, you know, but we have people. There's an engineer. Why isn't he overseeing code and health? I don't understand that. We've got to get these things organized. There's a personnel policy. Those job descriptions are there. Those, including the administrative ones. It's time they be utilized and be utilized properly. No one is doing it right. And it's from 1996. It's there. They need to be looked at. And the council and the mayor, and I don't care who it is, need to sit down and read them. The sooner they understand what jobs and who covers what and does what and who's responsible and where they're responsible to, the city will move along better. Our problem is you can't have one man doing 20 jobs. And Frank has done a nice job, but I mean, where's the health department? We have state health coming in doing restaurant inspections. What happened? Why are we no longer having the health? That's going to affect fact, in the summer, you're going to have problems, whether it be, I'll use stagnant water with bugs. You have to have a health, and we should. Why are we no longer? Now, we got rid of that. But that needs to be looked at, and that needs to be brought in.
Thank you. Councilman Mundy, you have 1 minute to respond.
I talked at a council meeting when the chief was appointed those positions. The chief came up to the podium. I said the mayor was making a big mistake by giving you those titles, and you should have refused them. Your main focus should be crime. That's the #1 problem in Hazleton. That's all you should concentrate on. You know, there are enough headaches in Hazleton without giving him more headaches. And as far as our health department, I think Mark Thompson was doing a terrific job. He just recently retired. The administration decided that instead of hiring a health officer, to go with the Department of Health. They're doing their job by inspecting some of our restaurants. I saw in the Times Leader where some of our places passed with flying colors and some needed some work. So I think having the state health department isn't a bad idea. And Mark Thompson did a terrific job while he worked for the city, and he will be missed.
The next question will go to Councilman Mundy and will be asked by Gary Perna.
Councilman, I asked this question on Monday, and I asked it again because this is a really good one. I want to hear both your responses. Why should a 24-year-old like myself remain here in the city of Hazleton rather than going elsewhere? What would you do to keep the best and the brightest of my generation here in Hazleton and keep them from moving out and moving away?
Well, I would tell them that there's opportunities here, that companies are moving here, not so much into the Hazleton. Well, they are moving to Hazleton City. DBI is moving their world headquarters downtown. What I would like to do, and I think it was the plan of the previous mayors, when they wanted to get a hold of the Marco building, to try and bring a federal or state agency into downtown Hazleton, which would really revitalize downtown Hazleton. You know, I would tell you that there's a lot of positives going on in Hazleton, and we're moving up. There's opportunities in Valmont and Humboldt. There's new companies coming in. Eagle Outfitters just opened up close to $1 million facility. Amazon is out there employing 2,000, 3,000 people. There's opportunities in Hazleton, and you know, we're trying to keep the people here, and it's terrible that you'd have to move to find a job, but we're trying to do that here, and by bringing the businesses downtown in Hazleton, a company with the world headquarters here, I think is going to help downtown Hazleton, and with that bring other companies down there too. Thank you.
Ms. Cuso, you have a minute to respond.
I would tell you, just like I told my daughter, there are things here for the professional, and you just have to look around a little bit harder. Maybe the money isn't as good as in Philadelphia, but there are things here. I don't, you know, your field, you're in your field here. I don't know what you make, so my daughter's in nursing, and she's working, and she's very happy, and my son-in-law is also in nursing, and both of them are working in that field, and they're in very good positions. And I have friends, one of my girlfriend's friends works at Amazon, or one of those, and she loves it. And she's 22. So there are things here that attract. It all depends what your field is. You have to have a handle on your field and what you really are looking for. So that question is a little bit off. Did I work hard to make sure my daughter stayed? Yes, I did. And I'm sure your mother did. But
Thank you. This is the last round of questions, and it will be asked by Dave Yonkai and go to Ms. Cuso.
Ms. Cuso, if elected, are there any circumstances that you could foresee where you would not attend a Hazleton City Council meeting?
No, I have no problem. I attend now, and no one makes me go. No. No, the mayor belongs there. If there's a question, and I've seen many times, they have a question. Council has a question. And you know what? In their discussion, they did, you know, it never came up. They didn't know this came about, and so yes, they came. They had a question, and nobody was there. the mayor, the director, whoever. No one. No one from that department. And it's unfair. It is wrong. And I don't understand, Joe, why he's doing this. I do not get that. I mean, Gary's there. There's oftentimes when they had no lawyer, it was sad. I mean, they put them in a very litigious situation, and they had no ability. They had no attorney there. All they could do was hope that everything was okay. And I think Joe has not looked at a lot of things he's done. He's put council in bad positions. He's very, when people ask questions, like me, he doesn't answer. And I'm going to tell you something. I guarantee you, if and when I'm elected, if you come in and ask me a question, I will answer you, or I will get that answer, and I will call you and give it to you. Because I've done this for years. Jackie tries, I have to say that. But I resent when I ask a question that I have the right to ask and not be answered. That infuriates me. And I guarantee I will answer you.
Okay, Councilman Mundy, you have 1 minute to respond.
I think a mayor's job is to come to council meetings to talk not only to council but to the residents of the city and who voice their concerns. That's how you get the pulse of the city when you're talking to people at the meetings. And not coming to meetings is, I think, the biggest mistake Joe made. The only other mayor that did that was Mayor Marsicano. That was back years ago. I remember going to those meetings. They were tension-filled. They weren't good for the city, and I think the mayor not coming to a meeting, it's just, that's part of your duty. I mean, he didn't come to the meetings when his council had a majority, which is even more astounding. I mean, sometimes I can understand you're not coming to a meeting when you're in the minority and nobody's listening to you, but he had the majority for a long time and did not come to meetings.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, candidates. We are now going to commence 1 minute closing statements from each candidate. Ms. Grace Kuzo will go first. 1 minute.
In closing, I'd like to thank each and every one of you who watched the debate tonight. Thank you, Channel 35, its management and staff for affording me this opportunity to address the public, and of course, thank you, Jackie. I promise to move Hazleton forward with solutions for the many problems we now face. I will address a business plan for the city when I have the right people in place immediately following my swearing in. I will seek funds for the benefit of the city as a whole. Hazleton is more than downtown. It is Noble Street, Hayes, Peace, and so on. I will assist our downtown businesses as much as possible, but they are not the total of Hazleton. Once again, let's move Hazleton forward and write me in for mayor in the Republican ballot on May 19th. Please get out and vote. It's up to you. Please visit my website, graceformayor.com. And again, thank you.
And Councilman Mundy, you have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Experience. Remember that word when you're voting for council. You pointed it out about experience. I've been on council for 4 terms now, 13 years. I think that's important to bring to the table that a mayor brings. I also bring business experience. The last 3 mayors also had business experience, also owned businesses. That's important. Being able to write a payroll check and knowing what that is, that's an important part of running. You're going to be running a $9 million business, which requires a lot of experience, character, and intestinal fortitude. The city's facing major challenges come in the next 4 years, and I just want to thank the voters of Hazleton for supporting me for 4 terms, and thank you for your support on May 19th.
Thank you very much. This concludes our debate. I'd like to thank the candidates. I'd like to thank Gary Perna and David Yonkai, the WYLM production crew. Be sure, folks, to get out and vote on May 19th, and do watch our after show, which is coming up right after this commercial break. Also, and finally, we will be rebroadcasting both debates this Saturday starting at 1 o'clock, so be sure to tune in. Thank you very much. Good.
You've been watching a special WYLN presentation, the Hazleton City Democratic Mayoral Candidate Debate. Stay tuned for debate analysis next on WYLN with Tiffany Cloud, WYLN lead reporter Gary Perna, and LULAC political letter editor David Yonkai. This presentation has been brought to you without commercial interruption by Cloud9 Personal Training and Fitness in Drums and by Booty's Place Restaurant, reopening in the summer of 2015.
I'm Gary Perna. Join me and my guests from the community every Friday live at 5 p.m. as we talk about important community events and issues that are happening. Topic A will rebroadcast 7 times throughout the weekend to provide you with the information that you need to know from your community. Join me here on Topic A only on WYLN.
It's Little League Baseball season. Join the WYLN sports crew during the month of May as they bring you Valley West Little League action. Only on WYLN TV 35, the event, not just the highlights.
Join us this week on Women Today. It's the season 6 finale. We'll be joined by Carla Thaler of the Sammy Hotel Group. She's going to give you some great tips on booking the perfect stay for your friends and family. Pete from Simply Homebrew is going to be here for our final wine tasting of the season. Kathy's going to tell you about a fabulous wedding show that's happening at Carmen's Country Inn, and it's free. You just have to register to come. And then we'll tell you who won that last final giveaway of the season from the Covered Wagon. We're going to thank our sponsors. They help us to bring this show to you. It's all coming up on the season 6 finale of Women Today.
Tune in each week to WYLN TV 35 to watch the #1 Hazleton-based broadcasted television talk show, The Storm, hosted by Tiffany Cloud. Candidates, politicians, community leaders, and more appear on The Storm when they want to be heard. New shows air Wednesdays at 8 p.m. and these additional air times. Only on WYLN TV 35. We're your local network.
Get the entire story when it's convenient for you. And get it from WYLN News. 2 daily newscasts from your #1 source for local news. WYLN's Evening Edition, news at 5:30. And WYLN's Late Edition, news at 10. More than just headlines. It's the whole story. In-depth reporting on hot topics and more. Plus the area's most accurate weather report from the WYLN Weather Center. More news, weather, and sports twice a day. Only on WYLN, we're your local network.
Welcome to our debate after show. I'm Tiffany Cloud, joined by WYLN lead reporter Gary Perna and editor of the LULAC political letter, Mr. David Yonkai. Gentlemen, a very different tone, I think, of this evening's debate versus our debate on Monday. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think this debate, comparing to Monday's, there was a lot more agreeing. Yeah, and it was stated by both candidates. Both of them have been friends for a very long time. This is a unique race on the Democrat ticket. And it's I want to say odd at some points because they agree so much. They work together so much, and it's odd to see them opposite of each other. You know, the experience, yes, you have a lot of experience with Jack being on council and on authority, and Grace being a concerned resident in the crowd, also serving on the housing authority and the sewer authority. you know, this is a tough one to call, sitting here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just say this, that the Republican nominee, whoever that might be, is going to have his hands full, mainly because I think both of them articulated their positions very well. Mr. Mundy came across as having that experience in government. Ms. Kuzo could give you the facts and figures about what she thinks she wants to do with the administration. Mm-hmm. So I think they outlined both of what they wanted to do, rather than the other night where we talked about minutia versus no vision. The other thing is, I was kind of struck by the fact that it's too bad that they can't run together and be co-mayors, if that's a possibility, because I thought I thought both of them were very knowledgeable and they seem more relaxed with one another. Although the other night, Mr. Unizi and Mr. Cassette seemed pretty relaxed too, but I think that these two had a long, I think there's a lot of mutual respect for one another.
Listen, it's the first debate I've ever seen that someone said, "I love you" to their opponent.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also the first debate I've ever seen that when there were a couple times where Ms. Kuzo was, thinking about what the stat was or which department or whatever, and she turned to Jack, and he was very helpful in providing that. I don't know if I would have been quite so kind debating. It was kind of refreshing to see, actually. It was very, very nice.
Well, you can tell there's mutual respect, I think, for one another, and that's pretty good. And that's why I think whoever is going to be the nominee here versus whoever's going to be the nominee on the Republican side, like I said, it's going to be very formidable, I think.
Well, so knowing that it was a rather polite debate, knowing that they were very much in agreement on many issues, not all, but many issues, did you think there was a winner?
Well,
and if you don't think so, that's an answer too.
In my opinion, I think Jack has the knowledge of what has been going on in City Hall, being on council, seeing the legislative, how it works, seeing how the administrative work. Grace does too. I really don't know. It's hard for me to pick. I think right now maybe Jack is a little bit in a lead there, being in city council, being in city government, and not sitting maybe on the other side of the desk in the audience.
And to me, I think it's too tough to call, mainly because both of them are well-known entities in the community, like Mr. Unizi and Mr. Cassette were the other night. But, these two are really well-known. One question that I didn't get to ask, and I would have liked to have asked, is, if nominated, how are they going to handle, and I wanted to ask this question the other night to the other two, how is the eventual nominee of a Republican or a Democratic party going to handle a third-party challenge?
Well, and that is going to be very interesting, because there are some independents. There's a lot of, talk. There's a lot of things happening on social networking in particular, and a couple candidates that haven't really come out and spoken much of yet. They're sort of waiting in the wings. So, an independent is a very interesting point. An independent may be a surprise to everybody. We don't know. And
let's not forget, as Gary pointed out to me the other day, the mayor won the election, but he didn't win it by a majority.
Right.
So that's going to be pretty interesting.
One of the areas where they had a healthy discussion was over possibly eliminating positions or lowering salaries for people. And it was interesting. Grace talked about the fact that she would restructure city government, that she would eliminate city positions and lower salaries to help pay for part-time police. That was an interesting discussion.
Well, I cover the city beat for the news station. When you go into City Hall, there's not a lot of people in City Hall. If you have somebody in the CD department, somebody in the tax department, you have 3 or 4 in the code department. You go up to the second floor. You have the mayor, his secretary, the solicitor, the city clerk, and the 4 people who work in the city administration. I don't know how you can cut much more people out of City Hall with a city this size. And that's the thing I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around. Maybe there is a way, and maybe they figured it out, but I have a hard time figuring that out.
Well, I think she wants to hire people.
On the note, I have to go to commercial break. I apologize.
Not a problem. You have to pay the bills.
Right back. Yes, we do. We'll be right back.
Just in time for summer, Cloud9 Personal Training and Fitness in Drums is expanding. Big time. More space, more equipment, many personal trainers and fitness coaches. Plus, boot camp, youth strength and conditioning, yoga. And coming soon, CrossFit. Call now to learn more. 570-690-0859. Get off the couch and on Cloud9.
A winning smile. It's not the secret to success, but it sure helps. Protect your smile by visiting Dr. Weiss for complete dental services. Dr. Weiss offers a full-service denture laboratory on premises, offering dentures in one day. 3 dentists, 4 hygienists, and a team of caring technicians and assistants specializing in quality dentures and repairs, complete general dentistry, extractions, cleaning, and caps. Dr. Weiss, where you can have new dentures in one day.
Welcome back to our post-debate analysis show. I'd like to ask each of you what comments or what answers you believe will likely resonate most with our area's constituents.
Well, I think the first thing was, I dovetail on what we were talking about before the break. There was no tapping. There was no tap dancing whatsoever when Ms. Cuso was asked, you know, what positions do you think are not needed? And so I think that is something that would resonate, because people, I think there's a perception that public officials are overpaid anyway. And so I think that would resonate. The other thing was that she struck a contrast between how she would be the administrator of the city versus the current mayor, and even other mayors who have like a not like a barrier, but they have like a buffer, you know, before they would get a question, you know, they would have a spokesperson come out or an official come out and, you know, answer that question. I get the feeling that if, you know, she'd be at your door if you had a question that you couldn't answer, you know, with a chart there. So that's what resonated to me. I think the openness of what she talked about in terms of her ability to listen. The other thing that would resonate with Mr. Mundy, though, was the breadth of experience that he brings to, you know, the 4 terms on council. And I think that both of them, I think Mr. Mundy, you know, in terms of his governmental experience, I think that would resonate with voters too.
Okay, Gary, additional thoughts?
I agree with Dave, but I also would add the question I pose: why a 24-year-old like myself would stay in this city? You hear a lot of people when they're graduating high school, they're going to college, they're going to 4-year universities, they're moving out of the area, and you know what's to bring them back here? And there are opportunities here, and you have to look for them. I think that's one. The second one is, I kind of disagree a little bit with Dave with the experience. I think the voters may now start looking at, we're tired of seeing the same faces and the same names over and over again. I think we're going to look at a voting population when they go out to pick a nominee that's going to look and say, you know what, you know, maybe it's time for somebody different. Maybe it's time for change. We've seen what's gone on for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I think maybe now it's the time. So I think the experience and the inexperience, there's going to be a little fight right there between them.
And I know Grace Cuso would argue that she's not inexperienced, while she you know, hasn't been an elected official. You know, as she definitely challenged you on that point. You know, she was saying, listen, I've attended council meetings since the dinosaurs were around, and you know, and you know, she's been doing it for a very, very long time, and it'd be nice if more people from our community would attend council meetings like that.
And I did clarify that question.
Yes, you did. Yes.
I want to touch on what Gary said, though. You know, Ms. Cuso did say something that kind of resonated with me and probably people in your age group. She says you have to look for the opportunities. Well, you know, I have news for people, right? The news for people is that there's not a lot of highly paid opportunities out there. And, you know, it's all well and good to say, well, you know, you have to look for those opportunities. But until the chambers of commerce around here bring higher paying jobs to your people who are starting families, like your age group, who are starting families and, you know, getting mortgages and stuff like that, looking for them is pretty tough. In order to live a livable life on a livable wage in Hazleton and in all of northeastern Pennsylvania. And I'll even extend that to the entire state of Pennsylvania.
Right. one of the things that certainly I think that will resonate with voters, the two issues that matter most to the voters of Hazleton are crime and taxes. And Councilman Mundy clearly said people can't afford new taxes. So, certainly that is he's insinuating that if elected, he would do everything in his power to not give new taxes. And I think that's something that would resonate. And he also talked about the fact that just sheer common sense is missing. Other thing he talked about, which was intriguing, was this whole pothole machine, which maybe in other debates wouldn't be fascinating, but in Hazleton, this is a serious issue.
Well, and the question I didn't get to ask was, I'm driving into work yesterday. The streets department was out using a tar and chip machine. And tar and chip, they put tar down and they put the rocks on top of it, and you drive over it and the rocks go flying. Where's this brand new piece of machine that it was to be the answer, to everyone's prayers to fix the potholes in Hazleton, and why isn't it being used? And where's City Council saying, hey, we bought this machine, why isn't it being used? And, my question is, how do you force the administration, whoever it may be, to say, listen, go ahead and you got to use this. We got to fix the problems in the city.
Yeah.
I'm glad that the question about Grace Kuzo being the only woman right now running was asked. Certainly,
she seemed to resent it, but I asked the question.
And I understand that, but at the same token, your question was, she said, and I quote, making history. I never thought about it that way, yet there's actually a post on, I believe it's her own Facebook page, about making history as a woman being elected for mayor. So, the truth is, it would be a historic thing. I think it would be interesting to see if that is going to matter. It's certainly, I appreciated that she said it didn't matter. I appreciate that her opponent said it doesn't matter. We just need, basically good people in government. But, she is the only one doing it, so at this point.
And, the LULAC political letter, I have Luzerne and Lackawanna County, and I'm struck by the fact that in Luzerne County, we've elected women commissioners to positions of power, whereas in Lackawanna County, they've not done that. So I think that a woman mayor of the size of the city of Hazleton would be a good thing in terms of, groundbreaking history making. Whether, that's going to happen is going to be decided in the primary and then beyond.
I do want to point one thing out. When they talked about City Council, the first woman on City Council, and I didn't know about this, was Clemmie Yamona. It was the first woman ever elected Hazleton City Council. I believe it was in the early 70s, and then Evelyn Graham, and then now Jean Moe. And I just want to point that little history fact out there because, I'm a little history buff. But I think there's been great progress made in the city of Hazleton when it comes women City Council. We've had city administrators who were acting city administrators. The Chamber of Commerce has been run by women. Donna Palermo, Mary Malone have done great jobs. So, I really don't think that's far off, and we'll wait and see what happens.
I know a political host who's a woman too.
And a wonderful political host.
All right, we're going to take a break there. We'll be right back.
Peggy Noonan gonna be
yes, Peggy Noonan. Yes.
Tujac Cycle and Power Sports is your power sports authority. Here you'll find a brand selection that can't be beat. From 2 wheels, 3 wheels, 4 wheels, and on the water too. Plus, Tujac has the apparel and accessories to make you feel like a pro. So hold onto your seat and rev it up. At Tujac Cycle and Power Sports, Cole Street, Wilkes-Barre, your power sports authority.
S.J. Kowalski is your Mitsubishi Diamond contractor. They can install a Mitsubishi electric, Mr. Slim ductless heating and cooling system. Mr. Slim systems are designed to make any living space in your home inviting. You can have a different temperature control for every room in your home. The money-saving technology can save you 25 to 50% on your heating bill. For Mitsubishi, Rinnai, and trained comfort specialists, call S.J. Kowalski at 570-455-2600.
Well, I'll never forget it. 1 minute, we were talking about going to the movies, and the next, Maggie could barely speak. It was a stroke. I thought I was going to lose her. But I never saw doctors work so fast. Anyway, she's coming home tomorrow. I just hope she doesn't yell at me for killing all the plants.
Welcome back to our post-debate show, joined by Gary Perna and David Yonkai. Gentlemen, one of the questions that you decided to ask was whether, if elected as mayor, they would be willing to take a pay cut. I'd like to hear your thoughts on their responses.
Well, I thought their responses were pretty honest, and but I think Mr. Money brought up a very good point that a worker, a person who's a mayor is almost like a 24/7, responsibility. So I think there are those who feel that they earn every penny that they get. There are certain people who, when they become elected, you see the enormity of the job. But I think it's a hot button issue because, again, getting back to what we talked about before the last break, the wages around here are so low in some instances that there is a resentment for somebody that's making more than the average wages around here. So it's going to be a fine line in terms of how that's going to be done. And, they can't obviously cut their salary by half, because if they do, they're not going to be, I think, fully effective, in terms of what the job calls for. So there has to be some cut, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people have said that well, the mayor makes so much money. What does he do? He's not here. He's not there. They don't do this. They don't do that. Well, the other thing you look at too. You're right. It's a 24-hour job. Something happens in the city in the middle of a snowstorm, and maybe a plow truck goes down, and we have to go rent one or something. You have to call the mayor. If there's a big fire in town, we see the mayor out there. I think that the pay is a big issue when it comes to the mayor. And I'm going to ask you a question, Dave. Do you think, and Tiffany, do you think the voter should have a say? Do you think that should be a question on the ballot when we elect the mayor? Do you think, there should be about a question on there, what do you think the mayor's salary is? And is it, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000? Do you think the people should have to
Absolutely not.
No?
Oh, I don't think so. Absolutely not. And here's why. Mainly because people, there's almost like a thing that I feel sometimes. People have a Cadillac versus hearse mentality. There's a lot of people who would rather see you have a hearse in your driveway than a Cadillac in your driveway, mainly because they have that envy. So no, I respect and cherish the intelligence of the voters in all of America, but I would never put salaries on a ballot for people.
Yeah,
never.
I wouldn't put them on the ballot either. No, I do think that in general the people would argue that any salary would be too high.
Right.
And truly, until you're really fully in any job, you don't completely understand the scope of a job.
Right.
However, if I were running for mayor, I would absolutely say I'd be willing to take a significant pay cut. Absolutely. I think the city is in, I don't want to say crisis, but in a way, financially,
right.
it's nearly it's in a state of crisis, and so I guess I am saying it, and therefore, what are you going to do as an individual, as a leader, to step up and help out?
Right.
I do think that would be expected.
And see, during the Depression and during World War II, Roosevelt had what he called the $1-a-year guys. And these were people that he recruited from big business and industries who he brought in to look at government and run it in terms of run the war effort more efficiently. And they were paid $1 a year. And I would like to see our local governments maybe get the best and the brightest of business and get those people involved for, like, say, not a pittance, but just basically say, okay, we're going to pay you $1 a year or something like that to give us your take on how to run the government better.
Right. I'd like to talk in this last 5 minutes or so about what you believe. We've now seen the Republicans debate. We've seen the Democrats debate. Obviously, there's independents lurking out there as well. But based on what we've seen thus far, What do you think is going to happen? Do you have any guesses as to who will be facing off in November and what the candidates, also related, a question, what the candidates need to do to prepare to ensure that they are the ones in the final face-off in November?
Well, that's you're both looking at me.
That's the $1 million
I know,
question.
and listen, and in fairness, I typically feel very, very comfortable calling races. So far, I have never called a race incorrectly yet. So I'm afraid to call this one, to be honest with you. I mean, this is a really, really tough one to call.
See, my gut feeling right now is that I believe it will be Unusi versus Mundy. Mainly because I just feel that Mundy's experience on council is going to give him that edge. But again, that is like such a minor guess. You know what I mean? So I would say that. But again, the third parties, all bets are off.
Yeah, this is a tough one. You know, I've covered the city now for the last election. This is hard. And we were talking about political signs earlier in the newsroom. If you drive through Hazleton, it looks like Grace Cuso, Joe Unusi, and Jeff Cassata are running. You know, Jack doesn't have signs out there, and that may hurt him, especially because you have a lot of people, and I hate to say this, but you have people go, when they get into that voting booth, I liked his sign, and click on him, and they may not know anything about that person. This is truly going to be a very tough election. I'm going to disagree with you, and I think it's going to come down to either Jeff and Grace in November.
Okay, well, there we go. Well, you guys will have to talk about a wager at the break because we're going to take a commercial. We'll be right back.
All Care Home Care, the health care that you need in the comfort and privacy of your own home.
At All Care Home Care, our caring and compassionate staff of skilled nurses, occupational speech, physical therapists, dietitian, social worker, and home health aides will give you the professional care you need. Call 459-3002.
With All Care Home Care, you will feel so much better and be able to do so much more.
Remember, it's still your choice. For your care, call us and we'll be there.
I'm Staff Sergeant Eric Olson, and this week on Warrior Summit Outdoors, the vets and I travel to Pennsylvania Dutch country to hunt snow geese. That bird was hit hard. Please join us this week for some great action and some bigger laughs on Warrior Summit Outdoors.
Welcome to our debate after show. I want to remind the viewing audience once again that on Saturday, May 2nd, we will be replaying both the Republican debate as well as the Democrat debate. The Republican debate will air from 1 to 2, followed by the Republican debate after show being replayed. And then the Democrat debate will air starting at 2:30, from 2:30 to 3:30, with the debate after show being replayed from 3:30 until 4 o'clock. So if you've missed anything or want to see everything again, please be sure to tune in. The last thing I just want to spend a little time as we're getting ready to close is to talk about the fact that we need people to get out and vote. You know, we have had some serious issues in this city, in this county, in this country, with people not exercising their right to vote. This is a serious election coming up. Decisions are, all politics is local. And you know, we really need to encourage people to just get out there and be sure to vote. Let's not have a 30% turnout or less, not this time. What's going on in the city of Hazleton is far too important for that.
Hazleton is at a pivot point where people need to be involved and need to go out and take part in this vote. You know, you have 2 seats on council, you have the mayor up. It is extremely important for people in Hazleton to get out and vote, and all over the area.
Well, I think if people are going to vote, they should vote smartly, and in terms of the turnout, I'm hoping for a good turnout, but let's face it, you know, people are more concerned about The Voice or American Idol than they are about their hometown, and that's a disgrace. But whoever turns out and votes, I hope they make an intelligent decision, not based on signs, and the other people who don't vote, I think they should just shut up.
Right.
You know,
there you go.
Really, you know,
well,
I mean,
and just the last thing in closing, we have about 20 seconds left. I just want to say one more time. Again, thank you to everybody who tuned in to watch this evening's debate and this evening's after show. We appreciate that you're engaged in what's happening in the community, and definitely exercise your right to vote, because a lot of people fought for your right to do so, and many died for your right to do so. And please tune in to Warrior Summit Outdoors' season premiere at 9 o'clock and watch my husband. He's kind of cute.
Tonight's Hazleton Mayoral Debate is brought to you without commercial interruption by the following